I'm coping pretty good. I'm definitely dealing with the aftermath of a big social day yesterday, or a big social exercise, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, since I'm going to be leaving this side of the world, um, need to get rid of all your stuff that you managed to collect and accumulate. And I had a friend of mine uh, who is studying biology, science, which is biology student, and yeah, obviously balancing work life and isn't so financially stable. So I made her a deal that if she helps me uh, sell some of my stuff, then she can have half of the profits. So we had a market on the weekend, uh, and it wasn't the normal. It was a normal market, but it wasn't the normal type of market. It was more of a social trial market where it's for people that live in her local area. Yeah, not fully, not a really big market, a much smaller market. Anyway, um, leading up to it, had a very big week, very big weeks at work now, being full in the season, very hot, and working in a tin shed, basically managing 8 unskilled people, or I shouldn't say unskilled, inexperienced. Um, and yeah, obviously, leading up to the market, I had quite a lot of anxieties. Um, Knowing that there is a set time frame that I do have to be in the public space, and didn't know quite how small the market was going to be, and was imagining a normal Berlin market, which is quite intense and lots of people. And but I do have some market experience, um, so I knew that, if need be, I can just put on the market persona and do the sales pitch, answer questions. There is a social structure to a market anyway. So plus you're also got a table between. So as far as just a single situation goes, it's very manageable. Um, but yes, I was very aware of the leading into anxieties, and how this affected my sleep and my stress levels. And um, then, as I try to counter this by just getting everything ready and organized and wanting to get there earlier, noticing how then this just transfers a bit of stress onto my friend, because she doesn't want to do it earlier, and doesn't want to really organize it days in advance, and kind of wants to just go with the flow a bit. So this, yes, is less stress for me, but then I notice it's more stress for her, which then adds more stress to me, which, yin and yang, it's always a balancing act. But got there, set up, and market's going, and everything's going quite well. I priced everything very cheap, so we had actual interest, because it's very hard to actually sell anything in Berlin, because there's more supply than demand with the amount of people that come flowing through this city. Then about halfway through the market, I noticed, I sensed, I don't know, that there was something going on the other side of the market, roughly 50 to 70 meters away. And so I just go to investigate, and I can hear that there's someone yelling quite loudly in broken English and broken German, couldn't pick up on what accent it was, but noticed there was an accent there. And as I noticed, over the space of about a minute or two, there was a dark-skinned African man, who you could kind of tell from his appearance that he was homeless, or living rough, sleeping rough at least. And this whole market thing, the whole idea behind it is to bring society and social circles smaller and closer, and to for people to take more responsibility and more care of their local neighborhoods and the people within them, and provide all these. And they're talking about creating more events of these social meetups, and getting the council to buy these vacant shop fronts so that people can meet there and discuss local issues and blah blah blah. And in this particular area, alcoholism, drug addiction, homelessness, and the refugee crisis is on full display in this area, Neukölln. And I'd seen this guy walking around the market a few times, just looking. He would smile at people and he seemed fine. And now he's standing there and he's berating, talking as if addressing one person, but addressing the whole market. And the people are trying to ignore him, and the more they ignore him, the louder he gets. And the louder he gets, the more people get attracted to that area, but the more people that are closer to him are trying to ignore him and pretend that he doesn't exist. And I'm noticing this going, okay, is anyone going to just try and talk to this guy? And he's getting quite escalated now, and spit is starting to fly out of his mouth, and he's making very dramatic gestures and getting louder and more abusive. And I'm thinking, well, if someone doesn't go and talk to this guy soon, someone else is going to just call the police. And if you call the police in Berlin, it's not like just one car rocks up. It's like 5 or 6 cars will rock up, maybe a van will rock up, and it's a thing, Then I hear him mention children. And I'm thinking, right, that's it. If no one else is gonna fucking do anything, I'm gonna have to do something. So I take my money belt off, give it to my friend, and across the field I go. Steady walk, not running, but steady pace. Take my hat off, hold my hat in one hand, and I have my hands out, and I approach this guy like, hey man, and I don't know why I called him brother. I don't like calling people brother. It's probably some social imprinting guy with dark skin. I'll call him brother. Maybe remnants of racism in my mind. But anyway, he instantly responded, I'm not your brother, But at least now he's focusing on me rather than addressing all these people that are trying to ignore him, and I'm actually giving him attention. So, as uncomfortable as it is, it's still a step in the right direction. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. You're right. I'm not your brother. But what's going on, man? You okay? And he's just still going, making these random connections of they've done this and they've done that and they've taken this and they've taken that and they've kicked me out and they've got my stuff and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, just breathe, man, just breathe, just breathe, just breathe. And I just kept saying, just breathe. And he would breathe and yell and breathe and yell and eventually come down. And I would approach. Every time he got a little bit calmer, I would get a little bit closer. And so now we're about 1.5 meters, 2 meters maximum away. And, I can sort of talk to him now. And what's your main problem, man? What's your main issue? You know, and he's like, they've got my stuff. It's like, you need clothes. You know, would you like a shirt? I've got a shirt. It's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, I'll get you some water and I'll get you a shirt. You give me 2 minutes, you sit over there, I'll be back. I promise, I'll be back. So I go, get the shirt that I was going to sell for 2-3 euros. That I bought at a second-hand store for like 4 euros, like 2 years earlier, that now I don't fit into anymore. And I get a drink of water, I get an apple shoulder, which is apple juice and mineral water. Bring that to him. We go sit in the shade. I tell him it's okay. I've been there. I've also been yelling. It happens. It's all good. Tell me what's going on. A long story short, basically he's been living in Berlin for 25 years. He still doesn't have status, which means that every 3 to 6 months he has to apply for a new visa. Whilst he's applying for a visa, they're not allowed to work. So when they can't work, then they have to earn their money from what they call Schwarzgeld, black money. Yeah, exactly. And this time he bought some perfume and was sending it with a friend back to Africa, but then his friend didn't send the money back, which meant he had to find something else, and the most easily available work is you sell weed on the street, and he was doing that for a while. And then he was also, you get to smoke when you're doing this work, and then it switched to hash, and hash makes him crazy, and then this led to having this problem, and that led to having this problem, and then he lost his flat, and then he was in a living shelter, which was run by the people that distribute the weed. And there was many parts of his story where it's completely unfair and out of his hands, and at the same time he just had no ability to be able to reflect on that it's his responsibility for the situations that he's in. It was always someone else's fault and someone else's thing. That's his issue to deal with. But the main problem was that since he was kicked out of the homeless shelter, they kept all his stuff just because he had a argument with the homeless shelter manager, who's the one that gives everyone the weed to sell on the street. He was living in the park. And then along comes these young women saying like, excuse me, could you please move to the other side of the park? It's for social change and social development, and we're creating this social movement, and we're for the people, and we're for the city, and we're bringing everyone together, which he agreed to do. And then when he realized what it actually is just people that have too much stuff selling their stuff at like bargain basement prices for other people that have money to come and take stuff. And he was pushed out to the other side of the park where it's like the children's area, where it's like, he doesn't want to be by the children's area. He's a homeless, middle-aged African man. Beside the point, who's right, who's wrong. It's all a grey area. What I think is messed up is that even the organizers of this social movement, and there were other charities there for homeless people and for this, asking for signatures and asking for time and money, and refugee people there, and doing public karaoke and making all these social events, but no one is even able to sacrifice their own mental bubble to go and speak with someone having a social breakdown. You have to leave it to the guy who's there dealing with his own social shit to deal with that whole situation, just to be at this social event, to be a part of it, that has to go and communicate with this person. Which only took me 20 minutes, half an hour maximum of my time. I was never in danger. As soon as the guy had someone to talk to, he completely calmed down. He told his story and I listened, and then I said, "Are you going to be okay? Can you take care of yourself?" He said yes. We fist bumped. I went back to the market store because I said that's my responsibility to help my friend. That's where I need to be. Are you going to be okay on your own? Told him that I've been there screaming in the street as well. I've had the police called on me as well. I know what it's like, but the louder you get, the less people hear you. And then the rest of the day I have to deal with noticing this whole social bullshit. Which I gotta suppress so that I'm sitting behind the market stall with a smile on my face and joking with people and covering my uncomfortableness with clever wit. But then that leads to a day like today, where it's the aftermath of all that. A big combo of everything. It's a nice day outside, but they're not going out there. Stick to my safe zone. Recorded this now like 3 or 4 times. But I think this is it. I can't do another one of these.